प्रखर बैकग्राउंड में वो लगा लो जो अभी गरिमा मैम ने शेयर किया था।
यस मैम, लगाता हूँ। Ma'am, I've joined from web, so I'm not able to apply my background right now.
Prakhar,
Yes, ma'am.
what happened? Sorry, I didn't get you.
मैम, मैंने वेब व्यू से ज्वाइन
Joined
किया
from
तो
web,
मैं
so I'm not able to apply my background.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, one and all. I welcome you all to the session of appraising about SIH by our esteemed alumnus students Ashish Papnai, who is currently an associate ML scientist at Vadvanai AI and also a winner for SIH 2022. Our next speaker, Miss Saida Rea Kasar, who is currently working as a software engineer in Google, and she was also the finalist of SIH 2022. And also we have Prakhar with us, who is also the winner of SIH 2022 and is currently working in ZS Business Technology Solutions as an associate. I welcome you all for sparing your valuable time for these junior students of yours, for sharing your esteemed knowledge and experience with them. And I'm also thankful to all the audience who are here gathered to have their experiences. Before starting with the experience of SIH, I would like to call upon our esteemed Miss Professor Namita Gupta ma'am, our HOD and SPOC SIH mate, to apprise you students about few SIH guidelines. And after that, we will be having the session with our three esteemed alumnus students. Ma'am, Namita ma'am. Ma'am is here.
Am I audible, Garima ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. So very good evening to all of you, and I welcome Ashish Papane, Saida and Prakhar. Welcome you all. So before we start,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay. It's good to see you all again. So before we start this session, I would like to share something. I'm just going through the chats which is there on the WhatsApp group of the students, and there are some confusions, I think, regarding the internal hackathon. So let me share what you have to do in the internal hackathon. First of all, you have to submit, the teams are already registered. You have to submit the PPT in the same format which is provided by the SIH team. I hope the template is available with all the team members. Follow the same template. If you want to have some other PPT slides, you can keep it with you. During the internal hackathon, if the judge is required, you can show them those PPTs. But the evaluation is based on the PPT in the template which is provided by the SIH. This is the first criteria of evaluation. Secondly, there is no need to share the code. You have to develop the prototype. Of course, it is not mandatory, but if you have a prototype which may not include all the functionalities which you are showing in your PPTs, but the prototype will help us in judging that you have the capability and you know the coding skills and you can develop what you are proposing. So prototype is not mandatory, but it is recommended. Code is not required. You don't have to upload the code, or you don't have to include the code in your PPT or anywhere. This is clear to all of you. If you have any doubts, you can share your questions on the chat box. And we will be taking these questions later on. Now, Garima ma'am, we can start. Yes, we can start the session. Anyone from the team who can unmute Garima ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Namita ma'am. Thank you for sharing and clearing the doubts of the students. Now, I would like to request Ashish to start with sharing his experience of SIH with the students. After Ashish, Saida and then Prakhar can take over.
Sure. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for inviting me to present my experience on Smart India Hackathon 2022. So I'll just start with how my overall experience was from how internal hackathon is organized and followed by how final is organized at a nodal center. So internal hackathon is mostly with the participants from the college. They can be from different departments within the college. They'll be evaluated mostly on two ideas, that is two areas, hardware or software. And then I guess when I participated, 10 teams were selected from the college and were sent forward for SIH evaluations. Talking about the presentation and how it is evaluated there. So mostly you'll have to stick to the guidelines and the page limit that is mentioned in the presentation format. Exceeding the page limit or slides limit can result in immediate disqualification. So once your PPT is reviewed thoroughly by the internal committee that is inside from a college, they would be asking you to upload the presentation on SIH portal, followed by which after evaluation you will be selected for finale. We were selected for a problem statement by ICCR. ICCR is Indian Council for Cultural Relation, and our finale was held at Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. So how it happens there is we have multiple rounds of evaluation in which judges who are mostly high-ranking officials from the ministry, they would come evaluate your idea, give you points in each round, come up with certain suggestions, and would ask you to implement them and improve your solution. Right. So mostly that is pretty much it about how it happens when you reach the finale position. Talking about presentation, try to keep it crisp. Do not go for technical jargons. Try to keep it as simple as possible and understandable by someone who is with a limited technical background as well. When we talk about different approaches that are to be mentioned, so say that they are asking to mention feasibility and viability of the product that you are building. Try to be very honest about what you write. Do not overcommit. So it's like, if you know this particular can be a failure point of your product, but you know that there is no way for you to prevent that, mention that there. Try to keep your technical approach in form of flowcharts so that it is easy for a person to understand what would be a user's journey when he starts to use your particular product, and how the final outcome will reach to it. Followed by the technical approach. Be very honest about the technologies that you are using. Do not try to write anything because it is trendy at that time. If it is relevant and useful in your particular solution, then only mention that in the approach that you would be mentioning. Yes, I guess I covered pretty much everything that I had to cover. Over to Saida.
Yep, so talking about my experience, so we also went in the same year as Ashish. We were a team of 5 people. There are different guidelines that everyone has, so you can get the guidelines as per your presentation or as per what your team requires. Talking about my experience, so it was a good experience solving a real life problem while being at college. So the problem statement we chose was regarding solving one of the accessibility related issues. So for that, we also did some groundwork and research to understand the problem as well as propose different solutions that were possible. So that kind of enabled us to look at different solutions that were already existing and what are the flaws in those. So we did all the analysis. One thing that we didn't do is we understood like most of the coding work needs to be done there itself, and there were some network connectivity issues that we used to face there. So we also went to Coimbatore, but we didn't had proper signals. So most of the work that we planned to do were pending, and we kind of did it there. We did a POC for presentation at the college level, but major solution or major implementation we didn't do it beforehand. um, that's also how it's supposed to be. It has to be done there. So make sure that you ask for backup, or you can ask for um, a support whenever needed there. There are POCs that are assigned to you for things that you might need. Other than that, I'll talk about rounds. So initial round was PPT, as Ashish also mentioned and provided tips for the same. Second round were like unofficial multiple rounds that happen on the site itself, that kind of also turns into a mentoring round. So any problems that you're facing, there are mentors and industry experts there to help you resolve some of those problems. Other than that, you can also try to reach out to other people in the same domain or people across the room to even understand what they're building, or get like ideas or inspiration from them. That also we didn't do. We didn't do much of a networking during our time. That kind of even helps us understand what other people are building, because there was an overlap uh, between what we also implemented for a solution. And we were quite vocal about what stages we are going through, and we were not presenting our ideas properly in these rounds. So remember, even though it might be termed as a mentoring round, but also remember to present all your features during all the time, and in all the rounds, whatever is developed, show them and made progressive changes. Make sure to implement the feedback that judges gave you. That kind of even helps you do better, as well as uh, also show that you also implemented these features. So most of the times, majorly work is done during before the first evaluation, and after that, whenever incremental changes happen, it kind of helps judges also get uh, a sense of assurance that you also developed it on your own. Plus, you're also implementing some of the actionable feedback. So yeah, those were my experience. Other than that, it gives you an opportunity to travel to Coimbatore. Like, that was a new city, so yeah, that's that adds to it. So I'll pass it to Prakhar now.
Yeah. So my experience after college hackathon was like it was a really good experience overall. So before starting to technical aspects, I'll go with whenever you like first when we reach to the nodal center, we do have documentation to complete. So firstly, if you get selected, please make sure you have proper documents to present over there, which they'll definitely ask for. And once you are properly seated and you have to start a hackathon time, there are a few things that Ria also mentioned. Wi-Fi, that might be an issue. Like I heard a couple of nodal centers were really facing issues with those, so they even use their hotspot to manage all the uploading, downloading, codes, everything. Please make sure of that. Secondly, we tend to overuse GitHub, but just to highlight that GitHub also has a limit to an IP, how many commits can be done at a time. So there might be a case when uh, more than 50 or 100 teams use the same IP to commit repeatedly on GitHub. So that can lead to GitHub banning that IP for a certain amount of time. Make sure in such cases you have a backup plan to how to share codes with your team or use any other platform. Not be overly dependent on one service, not only GitHub, but maybe any service. You should not be overly dependent. You can easily reroute your work and go about it so that nothing affects you a lot. And to add, PPT is something that everyone really forced to. PPT, if you are not able to present yourself in front of a person, the PPT is a direct representation of what you meant. The words you write there, a person might not read everything. So please highlight the texts that are important, like in headings, everything. Please make sure you go through those, and that's how you should be making PPT. PPT should also be given proper time to be documented. As we say, deck. So if you are spending 10 hours or 24 hours creating a well-to-do product, but if you're not able to document those things in a form of PPT, which any other person can read, that won't be of great use at that point of time. Because actually you have implemented a thing, but you're not able to convey those things to the judges or mentors in a way. Make sure you are really good with those things. Now, these were all the non-technical aspects. Now, going a bit on the technical aspects. I guess Ashish very well said, please do not overcommit anything. Overcommitment for a mentor or judge gives an the judges feel like that people are incompetent to do a thing, which they do tend to commit, which is a wrong representation from the start of the hackathon. So keep two things on a plate, but if you deliver more than what you have expected, that's a better approach rather than overcommitting it. And also try to make six out of those 10 features, but those six features should be impeccable. They should not be having issues like this is an edge case, it works on my machine, sort of a thing. If it is up running, it should be Goat should be running for everyone, not like it's working on my machine or it's working only on his machine because it's a Linux environment, something of that sort. So that's something you should really do take care of. Apart from that, mentors are a really good source for information. Do take care of whatever the feedbacks they are giving. Because for a mentor, all teams are equal in front of them. They have six teams at a point of time at a nodal center. And first impression that they'll be getting is the base that what you have made and what is the baseline that you're starting with. For example, a person might have done 20%. For a person, another team, it had been 30%. For another, it is 90%. So for them, it's all a baseline to them. They want to see how well can you execute things when you're given at a short notice, or if a new feature is being implemented, how well can you handle those tough times and deliver what quality can you deliver. So going through my experience, our mentor we had 3 or 4 mentoring rounds, and each time they came and they gave a different suggestion to us to implement. So we implemented those, not all, but the ones which we thought are a priority to be done at a certain time. If these things are not sorted or these feedbacks are not implemented, it might be a wrong impression to another person. That was the thing. Second, mentors. My mentor were judges themselves. So they were doing mentoring and judging both. So during judging round, when they come back, they asked like these were our feedbacks. With a, like they had a proper written set that these were our feedback to your team. What is the status of implementation on your project? So we had to tell them that this is the progress. See, this is what we are going through, and this is what you have aimed to complete by hackathon end. Oh, sorry, just to add, judging round is not only one final round. You will be having multiple judging rounds as well, like evening judging round, morning judging round, and then the final one. So I had three. So each stage they'll track your progress to keep in mind who is going well. There might be a case when you'll have like not usually everyone has it, like when it's the time to submit something, like code goes off, your pipeline does not work as expected, or suddenly your HTML stops working, something of that sort. Everyone has that issue. So do have a buffer. Like if your deadline is to submit by 7, make sure by 6:30 you are completed with everything and you're not touching it. Because if it works, do not touch that thing. Go through your PPTs or your uh, script of what you're going to say in front of the judges. That will help you to keep in track your technical aspect as well and your presentation skill as well. And lastly, SIH is more about time management, what I felt, uh, because you'll have to prioritize your work and do everything. Technical skill is something you are expected over there, but you are also expected to have those time management skill, soft skills that might be helpful for you to be presentable in front of someone. So yes, that was key takeaways from my experience in SIH. Very much.
Thank you, Prakhar. You have shared a lot of information. I think the students must have gained a lot. There are some queries on the YouTube channel that we are streaming. One student is asking in what ways can we present our prototype during the presentation? So any one of you would like to answer that? What is the best way for them? Ashish, Saida or Prakhar?
Yes, ma'am, could you please repeat the question?
What ways to present the prototype effectively?
Um, if it is about the final round of Smart India Hackathon, there would be multiple rounds. So there are 3 rounds total, as far as I remember, and every evaluation round is followed by a mentoring round. So what strategy we followed in our presentation was we used mentoring round to tell ideas that we felt would be useful in the final problem statement that was posed to us, and it were easy to implement as well. So never present any difficult idea or approach in a mentoring session. Also, when you present the idea, present in a way that you are planning to do something even if you have done it so far. So keep your final product hidden until it is a evaluation round. Mentoring round are only to get feedback on your ideas and thoughts from the judges, and evaluation round is something on which in which they will particularly try to give you points and they would score them. So try to be very expressive about what you have built so far in the evaluation round, but try to keep things to yourself when they are coming for the mentoring sessions. So that strategy worked well for us, but there might be different strategies which Sayeda or Prakhar used. So maybe they can talk more about what are their thoughts on this. Yes, over to you, Sayeda.
There were some important points that Ashish mentioned, which we didn't do right. So we thought mentoring rounds are mentoring rounds, not like judging rounds. So we directly started with the errors in our application, and we weren't trying to present what we built successfully. So that was a mistake that we did. So that's a good advice. Try to not to think them as your mentors, because they are going to be your judges towards the final round, and this was not revealed beforehand. Another thing was doing research, like even going through session like this helps. During our time, we also did a mistake of not doing a proper background in order to understand how things were. So that's also a point. Getting back to the prototype, how do you present your prototype? So we used two effective methods. Like we had two laptops there on the table. So these are since offline. One, we were explaining everything in form of diagrams, having presentation on one side. Another side, we were showing the working prototype or working demo of our application. So there, try to effectively show and kind of consider all the points for the application. For example, for us it was a mobile application, so we had a mobile version. We also have the we also had the prototype available on the system as well, using the emulators. And yeah, so we were showing it at both ends, and try to also focus on all the judges, and try to remember that uh, talk to, like, let one person talk. Like for example, we just wanted to explain our idea properly, so we just gave one person the like that one person should explain the idea or prototype, one person should explain the design. So we kind of divided our responsibilities effectively, so that we can focus on explaining what we want to explain to the judges. So yeah, those are some tips I'll say. Prakhar, over to you.
For explaining the prototype, I guess most of the points are covered by Ashish and Ria. But one thing that I did, not sure, we checked our mentors or judges whom we are going to present on LinkedIn and maybe on some social media to get a sense of what their background is. For example, one of my uh, judge was a founder of a startup. So you'll have to possibly take a guess of what key points they might be hoping for us to cover so that we can give uh, a considerable time to those points which they are expecting us to cover rather than we telling them something that they're not interested in. Might be a person is more interested in the business logic, like how are you gonna earn money out of this or something of that sort. How is it scalable? But if you're explaining them that this is like this is an ML model and it'll run this way, that won't be a tie between a judge and a person who is trying to explain his project. So please, if you get that time to know their names or who actually is viewing your project, please have a background check for them. Another point, if you're not the first one in the row, then that's the best part. Do listen to the questions that what type of feedbacks they are giving to a team, or like you'll get an idea of like we in college also we did now we heard what is going on in practicals, what questions are external is asking. So that sort of a thing. Just go and get a view of what type of questions they are asking. You can mold a few points in, like you'll not have much time, but 5 minutes you'll get enough time to mold your answers for one or two questions, and you should be good with that. Otherwise, be confident on a product. If it is made by you, you should be knowing everything end to end, and that will really help you out. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Prakhar. Thank you, Sayeda, and thank you, Ashish, for addressing this query. This you people have addressed this very well with respect to what they'll be doing when they go for SIH on their particular nodal centers. Some students are respectively asking this query with respect to pre-selection in the internal hack at MAIT. So they want tips with respect to how they can present there. what prototype importance is required there, how the PPT presentation should be there. If any of you could throw a light with respect to that. The question that I can see on YouTube is that I hope we do not shortlist people solely based on PPT without looking the prototype. And is it compulsory to present the prototype while some teams will be presenting? So how the judgment will be helpful for those who are not presenting? Would you like to speak on that, Prakash?
Yes, so I'll take that. On this, like, I'll explain what I did for internal hackathon. Actually, the prototype that we were using was just a basic one-pager HTML static site, just to explain what our final end product is going to be. Like, I don't think that HTML page even took us more than a day to make. So our prototype was nothing more than a static website. It was solely our idea and our PPT that we were thinking on. And so we had a like a flowchart sort of a thing where we were actually explaining how things will fall into place. Like, we'll do this first, then this will happen. Have a set plan. Like in internal hackathon, the only thing that if you think that only technical aspect is considered, no, that's not correct, I guess, because you need to have a plan of how you'll take care of everything. If you are expecting to add everything all at once, that won't work. I guess the judges in internal hackathon also want to see how will you manage things going into place. Like, for example, just have a PPT for once. First step, because that's your ideation process. You need to write down everything on a piece of paper or maybe type it down somewhere so that you're clear on your ideas. When you're done with that, have a basic prototype. I'm not like my product was, I guess, 5 to 7% close to what I submitted in finals. Not even close. We deleted that prototype even because actually that was quite static and we couldn't use that in SH. So just for demo purpose, we created a static site so that we can give a look and feel of how things might work on website. But PPT will be the sole reason. Prototypes do help, I'll say. You'll have an edge if you show a prototype, but might be the case that a person without a prototype but having uh, a foolproof plan for their project will serve better. That's all that is.
Thank you, Prakash. Saida or Ashish, would you like to add on anything with respect to this?
Yeah, I'd like to add one point, aligning with what Prakash mentioned. So it's like if there are two people coming with different sets, so aligning with the question which was asked, if I come only with presentation, let's not say that you would be judged only on base of presentation. When you're submitting your idea for the final round of sites evaluations, you would be judged only based on your PPT. So try to be very expressive in those 6 pages limit that you have. And about showing a prototype in the internal round, it is better to have one because a person having clarity of thoughts along with some kind of support to back that will of course edge over someone who is coming only with the idea and is not having clarity or timelines key if it is practical to even build in 48 hours that you would be getting there. Better to have a prototype, but if you cannot make one because of say any reason, try to be very expressive in your PPT, make it so strong that there is no reason left to reject you. So yeah, that's what I would like to say about that question.
Thank you, Ashish. Saida?
Yeah,
Any-
one thing that I'd like to add is for us, we kind of started with web app also. Since like it's always mentioned in the problem statement, read the problem statement carefully. Like whether they want a web app or does they want you to make a mobile application. So consider those things also while going for the internal rounds. So internal rounds also help you understand the problem statement that you're choosing precisely as well, because otherwise at times there is a miscommunication and we create like web applications and later on it's clearly written in the problem statement that it's a mobile application. So those kind of miscommunication happens, so just be careful for that while creating this prototype. And also remember that you can even if you're created a web app, you can just use that, like in React you can integrate that into a mobile application, so it would still be a valid scenario or valid prototype. So you can use ways to get back whenever you're stuck at any such point, or you're like, if things are not making sense, you can make them reroute and uh, make it according to the problem statement. Also, one more thing to consider is, remember not to solve all the problems that are present in the problem statement. Even if you're trying to solve one, solve it efficiently. So those are the major tips. And yeah, internal rounds, if you are able to convince internal judges that you can implement this solution, and you can show your capabilities by throwing some light into your technical expertise, like if you're able to do X thing, you can even add some more things on it later on. So if you are able to do that, that's a really good progress. This thing I also mentioned initially, that our initial prototype is what we build upon in our hackathon. If we would have even invested more time during initial phase, like internal prototyping phase, there were much chances we won't have to face like much issues when during the offline hackathon. So it's good to spend some actual time and efforts in creating this prototype, because it also gives you a development experience. So yeah, just wanted to.
Thank you, Saida. One more query that I could understand on the YouTube channel is with respect to, once they are being selected in the internal hackathon and they are going for the Smart India hackathon at their nodal centers. They prepare their prototype beforehand, whatever knowledge they have. So they can, whatever they prepare, that is the best. How they go and change over there, or they should not do anything and do directly there. What are your suggestions on that? What exactly the final round means, they want the query for that.
So on this, how much should be done? So from my experience, what we did, we had a prototype, but that was not quite usable. So what we did, that you'll get enough time, like a month, 1 month or 2 months we had between the actual visit to a nodal center and once you are selected from the ministry. So we had a time of 1 or 2 months over there. So what we did, we tried and build different modules of our code. Like if we have some submission module, we completed that independently. We didn't integrate it directly, but we kept it as a 100% complete module. So, for example, if we had 25 such modules to be completed, we almost finished 20 modules. Like not 100%, but 90% we completed those modules. We had a really strong foundation over there because over there you can use any code. At the end, you'll have to create a new GitHub repository to show them. That's what you will be doing over there. So try to have all ends completed, because there are cases when, for example, if you're working at a backend, sometimes your API does not work. You have course error. You are not really sure how to solve those errors. So please make sure that you have enough base foundation, that you're confident that after having this much amount of code, I can really work on independently without using some additional resources during those time, because you might not have enough time in actual hackathon 48 hours to implement everything. You'll have to really be picky at that time what actually is important. So make sure you have enough on your plate to start over there and complete it within 48 hours. You'll not be able to complete all the problems given in the problem statement. Make sure out of 10, if you have 5 or 6, you are completing them end to end without any issues. You can leave 3 or 4, but try to touch on those. Don't completely leave them blank. At least have 6 or 7 end to end completed. And you should have a basic knowledge of how you should be solving those 3 remaining problems. Don't build on those, just have an idea, so that if a judge or a mentor asks a question, how are you planning to implement this, so you have a broader idea that this was our steps that we were going to follow. It's not completed because we wanted to complete rest of our project without having any issues. So that's what we did in our SIH hackathon back then. Else, Riya or Ashish, you can add to it.
Yeah, I'll say like make it like 80 to 90% complete, which we didn't do. So if you face any issues there, internet issues or anything else, it would be really difficult for you to work. We were just finding spots where network connectivity was good. Even like such nodal centers are at times at remote places. So you don't get proper connectivity there. So make sure that you complete most of it. And in there, like even Prakhar and Ashish mentioned that out there they give you feedback to even improve your application better, like make it more better, add more features. So if they are saying add more features and your existing features are not even complete, how and what will you do? So just make sure that you're doing like 80 to 90% complete thing that you're taking there. Even others around us had like almost everything complete. So even that's how you'll be also able to make best of the opportunity as well. So make it like almost complete, and then show it there incrementally, like integrate modules as Prakar mentioned. You can say you add the completed modules, you just connect them, that you can show during the initial rounds. Ashish, you want to add something?
Yeah, I guess almost the question is addressed on like specifically answered by you and Prakar, mostly on how you can present and how much to build from your internal round and how much to build there. So I would suggest to be very flexible and receptive to the feedbacks. Do what they say. So let's say if they want to have a particular feature, don't be like it would be difficult to implement. Take your time. You would have at least 3 to 4 hours between each evaluation round. Think, search, try to see any existing code that is present online, reuse it, adapt it based on your use case, and then finally be ready to prepare to and present as well. So yes, that's my take on the question.
Thank you, Ashish. Uh, I can't look for further queries. I think almost all the queries are resolved. One small query as a student is asking regarding whether they need to work 48 hours straight on the go. I think that is not the case. You
Yeah.
people breaks in between, right?
Yes, so we get breaks in between. There would be lunch break, the dinner break would be there. There would be a small session on yoga or Zumba. That is recreational activity that mostly happens when it is 3 to 4 a.m. so that everyone can recharge themselves to work harder for more time. But yes, if someone wants to sleep for some time, maybe if they're tired or not feeling well, there would be rooms to take rest in the venue as well. So yes.
Thank you very much, Ashish. I am very thankful to Ashish, Saida, and Prakhar for sharing their knowledge, their experiences, their their positive attitude towards being a participant in SIH, their problems and error areas that they faced, their their points that made them give an edge over others. So I think all the queries of the students have been addressed to. So I'm very much thankful to our Professor Namita ma'am who has given us this opportunity and this platform for the students to cater to each other. The alumnus is very helpful for the students. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saida. Thank you, Ashish. And thank you, Prakhar.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.